to me, real estate is the great equalizer. It doesn't care what color you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't care whether you've been to prison. It doesn't care whether you're from another country.
Yep.
It does not care, man. I've seen doctors talking to guys that look like they just robbed somebody.
Right.
All it cares about is you got a good deal.
Welcome back to Always Level Up the podcast. I'm your host, Carlos Garcia, and today I have an amazing guest, Uncle Charles from HBHS. Welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good.
And for those that don't know Uncle Charles, he is a master in creative finance. He's been in real estate for 20 plus years. And, this guy's a real pro, been around the block. He's the OG of real estate here in San Antonio. So today he's going to share his story, how he's navigated through real estate, through the ups and downs, and been able to push through all the adversity and, talk about the wins, the L's, and the lessons from all of it, and how he's kept making it happen. So, Charles, tell everybody a little bit about, how you got started in the business.
Well, my name is Charles, actually. But a lot of folks call me Uncle Charles. I guess I'm always helping people out. I kind of backed my way into business. I always had a mindset for business when I was young, but I had some scrapes when I was young, and I eventually graduated from University of Texas with a business degree. I got into mortgages. So I was really heavily into the lending business before the crash of 2008.
Right.
And I thought I had made it. By 2008, I thought I had made it.
Everybody was in for a surprise, huh?
I was in for a big surprise, man. And so I had, I lost my money. I lost my business. And it took me a few years. I had to regroup. And I jumped into real estate. Mm-hmm. I had already been doing real estate, but from the lending side. Mm-hmm. And I was helping a lot of investors put together deals. So I was real creative in that respects. But when I jumped into full-time real estate myself, I started a company called Home Buy and Home Selling, which today stands for HBHS.
Right.
And it was started as a realty company. And I had a partner, and we were doing a lot of real estate because I had still a lot of agents sending me deals and stuff. And I couldn't get licensed, so I needed an agent. so the agent ate very well, let's put it that way. But he became my partner, and then we started flipping properties. We started doing subject twos back in 2014. So we've been doing subject twos for a long time. We started doing a lot of creative deals and a lot of wholesaling. Ironically, we didn't start wholesaling. I'm really good at it today, but and just footnote, I am the creator of Wholesaling Live, the largest wholesaling event twice ever done.
Yes, sir. That's right.
But ironically, we didn't start wholesaling until like 2015.
Right.
And we started doing reverse research actually on a company that you were leading. Because you guys were like
doing your homework, huh?
You guys were doing wholesaling on a whole other level, and we're like, I want to, we were getting the lists, so we would research all the properties, and man, it took us a minute to figure it out, but that information is readily available now.
Yep.
But back then, it was, it was still very, it was kind of held to the chest. And once we took off with wholesaling, from there, wholesaling, today innovations, equity listings, creative stuff, so it's just been a journey.
Awesome. And you mentioned something, I kind of want to go back to it. You talked about, the crash and having to hit a reset, right? And losing it all. Like, talk a little bit about the mindset that went into that and to push and persevere that experience from losing it all. And like, man, where some people are just going to give up, throw their hands up and, go try to find a regular job. Like what kind of mindset did it take for you to get through that?
I think that people can learn to be that way, but not everybody's that way. I'm not saying I'm special, but I grew up losing. I grew up losing at 8 years old. I don't know if I can say this, but at 8 years old, right next to me, a friend of mine got hit right in the face, and died right in front of me. So, so that was one of my first experiences with losing.
Yeah.
Grew up very, very. I grew up. A lot of us minorities understand what it is to grow up like this. I grew up in what I call Violentville, USA. Violentville, USA. So, losing was something that I learned, but I always was the top person to get back up.
Right.
I had some scrapes. You know, I don't know how far we can go into that, but I had some scrapes that cost me a lot of time.
Right.
But I rose above that because I just can't stay down. And that's why I said earlier, I'm very proud that I graduated from the University of Texas.
Right.
Going through all that. And most folks don't ever get that far, you know.
Right.
And then building up the mortgage solutions that I had. I was making a lot of money, doing very well. And then losing it all was a massive blow, man. It was a massive blow. I lost about $3.2 million like that.
That's tough.
And people ask me how. Well, when the big alphabet government gets involved and they want to know how you made your money, they freeze your accounts.
Right.
And so it's real, guys. It's real. And it was hard, man. It was hard, you know, going from $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month to nothing.
Yeah.
And then you had no money because your accounts were frozen. And, you know, I was surviving by just doing creative deals, facilitating money. And then one day, I'll tell you a story. I don't talk about it too much. It was October of 2011. I had about $30,000 left. I had filed 7. I had filed 13. I was in bankruptcy. I wasn't making money. I was just making enough money every single month to pay the bills.
Right.
And I told my wife, man, I just need to do this one time, just one thing, and I'll be back on top. You know, I need to make some money. So I went and bought something. It cost me about $30,000. And as I was taking care of that, I realized I wasn't the same guy from back then.
Yeah.
Mentally, I wasn't that guy no more. And so I made a decision. I called somebody. I said, man, just come get this.
Yeah.
Just gone, money gone. Just take it. You can have it. And I didn't have much money, man. I think I had about $1,200 or something left. And I went and I ordered on November of 2011, I ordered an LLC. And it was called Home Buy and Home Selling. I called a buddy of mine. I said, can you sponsor my real estate company? He said, yes. And by January of 2012, I had $30,000 in my pocket.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's incredible. And so, you know, what I'm hearing here is, you know, sometimes these setbacks can kind of push you back against the wall to where you're trying to survive and you're trying to find a way. And sometimes the ways that we go for aren't the best solutions. But it sounds like you had to make a decision, right? And
well, you know, we're accustomed of our environment, so the first thing we want to gravitate to is what we know.
Right. Yep.
And I knew how to make money in that old way of making money. And the thing is, at some point, you got to make a decision. You got to make a decision. One, you got to make a decision. Are you going to get back up?
Right.
And take what comes. 2, you got to make a decision whether you want to go the easy way or you want to go the hard way.
Right.
And looking back, I told myself, like, you know, I'd rather go the hard way the rest of my life than to ever have to miss the moonlight. You know,
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Oh, 100%. And I think this is something that we both have in common, you know, and coming from similar type of background, right? When, you know, you call it, what was it? Violentville? Violentville, right? And, you know, I grew up on the west side of San Antonio, so it was violent and in the 90s and a lot of gunfights and gang members. And, you know, every day was a fight just to make sure you weren't taken advantage of.
Yeah.
But along the way, you know, that fight is what teaches you, you know, it's what teaches you how to persevere and be resilient. But
hopefully for a lot of us, you know, it doesn't, you know.
Yeah. And some people, you know, they don't adjust well. But what I see is, you know, after you make those decisions, you know, and what we think looks like an easy route to make money or to get on top isn't really an easy route. It's more of a setup for a harder consequence.
You know, I saw this. I posted this story the other day. I forget this guy's name, but he said, people ask me all the time, like, how do you make money? You know, how do you get there? Like, I don't know, man. I'm not competing with any of the greats. I'm competing with myself.
Right.
The one thing I know today is this: get up, get busy, get grinding.
Yeah.
And grinding. Get up, grind. I want to tell you something. You may not get there, you may not be there, But every little step's gonna make you feel better. It's gonna be you're being productive, and then when you finally get there and you get the bag, you're like, man, I got the bag.
Yeah.
Everybody looks and says, man, how did you do it?
How'd you do it?
You-
They didn't see the work.
Bro, you didn't see the work. It took a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that people don't want to go through that, man. And it's very select. It's very few people that will go through that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've seen each other. 'Cause we know each other for a long time. We've seen each other go through that.
Absolutely. And I think, one of the main things, and I did something similar, is you chose education. You chose education. So at what point did you say, hey, I need a higher education, and what led you to UTSA?
Well, because, man, you're taking me deep into deep waters, man.
I mean,
You're taking me into deep waters, man.
Hey, whatever you want to talk about, brother.
I will tell you, it was in September of 1995, and I was standing in front of a judge, and I heard the judge tell the prosecutor, "Well, what's he doing here?" Because somebody else had already been adjudicated, and the judge asked me what he had to say about this. I looked to the prosecutor, I looked at my attorney, and I said, "I don't know what to say." And the next thing I knew, I was gone. And when I got there, I saw the destruction, all the savagery, all those things that just blow your mind. And I told myself, I'm smarter than this, man. And so that's where my journey started. I started going to school, and I got a few degrees while I was in there. I became a paralegal, to help. There was a lot of guys being taken advantage of. I was doing motions and real estate. That's where I actually started real estate, if you think about it, because I was seeing all these affidavits of registry come through, and I was doing all the real estate, paralegal stuff. I just didn't want to be that guy, man. I didn't want to be that guy that got all tattooed up and got out and just didn't have a future. I just didn't want. I knew that I could be destined for something better, and I knew that education. A lot of people rag on education today.
Yeah,
they say you don't got to go to school, but for me, man, education, man, it just opened my mind. It's true. I haven't really ever used all the stuff that I learned in school, right?
Right.
That's okay. But what it taught me to be is a learned individual.
Right.
And it is something also. I could finish something. And once you finish something that's more important than you are, like anything you've ever done, you got to be able to finish something, man.
Yeah.
You can finish anything, man.
Dude, I love that. And, similar, I can relate to that. And, because, you get to a point where you're like, man, how do these other people become successful? And, you think about it, it's like, man, it's nothing. There's really nothing special about anybody and their level of success. It really comes down to how they learn to use their mind.
Yeah.
And so the first thing we need to do is we got to learn how to use this up here.
Yeah.
Because it's our most powerful resource, right? And once you can tap into that, then, the doors open up. So I love that you said that. It opened up your mind to new things and how that led you, how did that lead you to the next step?
Well, I've taught a lot of people real estate in San Antonio and around Texas, and the first thing I tell people is embrace these 4 things. DFND, embrace them, make them your friends. They're coming for you every day. That's discouragement, frustration, negativity, and defeat. They coming, man, every day.
Yeah. Okay.
Learn how to become friends with RDF. Resolve, determination, and fortitude. Man, if you can learn how to get up and finish, just get up, man, and finish. You may not get to where maybe your dream you believe you should be. Man, when it's all over, you're going to be, man, I gave it a hell of a run, man.
That's right.
That's how I think,
Yeah, absolutely. And, with that mindset, it seems like that has led you to create some of the most popular events here in town, and also to a successful organization.
Well, I had help,
the truth is that I think a lot of times, people think of self-made as hey, somebody does it all on their own, but really, part of being a person of success is embracing the fact that there are people that support along the way. You know.
You know, one thing I admire about you, man. I've known you for a long time. You and I had a real tense conversation once, but very, very respectful. And it wasn't even about us. And I just admire how calm and cool and collective you are. But something that we have in common, talking about this subject, is like I've been married for 21 years.
Nice.
And I know you've been married a long time.
18.
18. And when people say, man, did you do this alone? I'm like, bro, at some point, man, you got to hang up. You got to hang up the boots, and you got to believe in someone if they believe in you.
Yeah.
Because you can't do it alone. You got to have peace of mind. You got to go home, have peace of mind. You got to have somebody that supports you. My wife, I know your wife, supports you. I mean, that's been my foundation, you know.
Right on. And I think a lot of times people don't understand the importance of the relationship with your spouse, right? Because, one thing I learned a long time ago was the mastermind alliance, right? We talk about mastermind alliances, but that one right there is the core of it all, right? The relationship you have at home with that special person that's gonna pour into you and encourage you. One, like when you're down and out, they're gonna be there to, hey, get up. Hey.
Can I tell you a little story?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
My wife hates me to say this, but I've been with my wife 21 years. When you're with someone 21 years, she's seen a whole business career. Mm-hmm. You're going to have ups and downs. Yep. We've had our share of ups and downs. But if anybody listening here today, I talked about, I've touched on some stuff. I guess you guys can imagine what I'm talking about. Man, you got to be willing to change, man. And, in 2010, I needed to change. Mm-hmm. So I did some counseling, and I forced my mind to learn how to talk different, learn how to lower my voice, learn how not to cuss, learn around my wife. I wanted to be a different person. And fast forward to January 2000 of this year, 2024, as you know, my company split, and I was just going through it, and I was just like, man, 12 years, and it is what it is. I'm good. Today, I'm good that decision was made.
Right.
I wasn't good back then with it because, I don't know.
It's tough.
It was tough, but I'm going to tell you something. My wife, she's an attractive female,
Yeah.
And she keeps in shape. I don't, but, I said, you do that. She called me to J Prime. She had set up a reservation. She was dressed to the nines. She got real nice stuff. I get her nice stuff. And when I got there, she had a drink there waiting for me. And she was sitting there. She's like, what happened? So I started to tell her, this, that. You know how it is, man. You won't put blame, whatever, man. And she looked at me. I don't know if I can say this. But I want to give her credit, man. She looked at me and she said, well, she said, I didn't marry a pussy. Now go do it the way you want to do it.
That's right.
And dude, from 1 second to the other, dude was like, boom. Okay. Game on.
Yeah.
And now, boom, I'm on the verge of launching something. But it's just, sometimes you can be very strong. You can get up, but sometimes you need that person sometimes that's there, man, that's going to.
Yeah.
You got your back,
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you share that story because, a woman that really loves you and that cares for you, and she's gonna say the things that are gonna lift you up. She's gonna get your head, out of the clouds or out of the gutter or wherever they're at. Like, hey, let's do this. Like, that's your partner. That's your teammate, right? Yeah. And I can definitely relate to that in a couple challenges along the way. The first one was my wife was the one that encouraged me to go to college.
Yeah.
And planted that seed in my head, like, you can do it, right? And say, man, all right, let's do this thing, right? And let's go after it. And then the challenges of getting into real estate, because it's not easy when you get into it, right? People like, how do you make money? They see the shiny object, like they see successful developers, the successful house flippers, and anybody that's making money in real estate, they're like, well, okay, well, it looks easy, right? It looks easy. It looks like it happens overnight. And you said something, right? it doesn't happen overnight. There's a lot of early mornings, late nights, like all this work goes into it. And I think, in addition to that, all the education that goes into it, that you spend the time doing, and it's not paying you an immediate return on that investment, but all that effort eventually will pay off. So along your journey, as you've been able to have a strong support at home, how has that helped you shape the mindset now to push through to this next level in this journey and what you're working on now?
So, I feel like I'm behind all the time because I lost 10 years of my life, and I don't really count the youth, I feel like I really got started around 35 years old. And that's my 18. So when I first got into real estate, for example, mortgages, it was Encompass, Genesis, Loan Prospector, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, DO, DU. Like, it was all this stuff. Like, how am I going to learn all this stuff?
Yeah.
But it was, like you said, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of early mornings. And I don't know, man. It's not one thing that I tell people. You can't, like, I'm helping this one guy right now, and he's like, I want to learn it all. You will. But it takes a minute. You have to show up every morning. You have to show up every morning. Like me, I know that I should be better by my health. When I was young, I was in great shape, and I let myself go. I get it. That's a fault that I have. I'm hoping to correct that very soon. I've been trying to correct it, but I'm busy.
My man, I see you working, man.
I'm busy, man. I'm making money, motherfuckers. But I'm making money, goddamn. But what I tell folks is, some folks say, well, Charles, you should do things for yourself. Man, I'm good, man. I got a second chance at life. I got a handful of people that I'm just, if I leave this earth, man, when I leave it, I want to leave them good. I'm going to be smiling when I leave. You just got to show up, man. You got to show. People ask me all the time, how do you do it? There's so much to learn. You got to show up every day. And when you show up every day, that bell rings, you got to go all out. If it's learning, if it's knocking on doors, if it's calling people. Some people learn. Okay, I'm lifting this can right here. Okay, cool. But it goes beyond that. You know this. Like, why did we lift the hand? Where did it come from? Like, the angles of real estate. Like, it's not just learning how to wholesale or how to substitute. Like, learning how to wheel and deal. That once you get to that level, you start creating deals. You start doing deals, and you step back, and you're able to see the field a little bit different.
Right.
That comes with a lot of deals,
Yeah. And what would you say are some of the fears that a lot of people encounter when they get into the business, and which prevents them from taking action and holds them back from success that you've actually had to take on and push you through?
Well, it's different for everybody because some people have money. Some people have education. Some people can't type, It's different for everybody.
Right.
Some people have charisma. Some people don't have charisma. Some people are introverts. So when I'm talking to somebody and I see they have charisma and they have some smarts and they have that grinding attitude, like, I always know that if I can feed that person information, put them in the right spot, they're going to do very, very well.
Right.
And they need to be told why they're doing very well. It's the majority of the people who are introverts, who don't have a social network. They're not social butterflies. They don't have money. They don't have the time. I sit them down. I say, you're going to have to work harder than everybody else.
Yeah.
You're going to have to work harder than everybody else. But if we compare the race, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get there. And what I've seen is the folks who have the charisma, the folks who have the network, a lot of times they end up flaming out because they didn't take time to learn the business.
Yeah.
You see, because they get by on their charisma, but next month, next year, there's always another flavor. So the guy that really buckles down and learns will stay the course, or at least if they stay the course, they'll make more money. And the other thing is, look, young guys that come into this business, they could become millionaires. If I knew what I knew today when I was 18, man, I wouldn't be working right now. I'd be a multimillionaire. But young guys can do well because if they don't have responsibilities, they don't have, maybe not a girlfriend, they don't have kids.
Right. They have an advantage, right?
They have an advantage. Older people, like older guys, that have to take care of mama, they got 4 or 5 kids, they have the hardest time because, bro, this business ain't easy. And sometimes if you got to be all in to do this business, you can't do it part-time. I tell folks all the time, right? You can't do this business part-time, man, because if you're going hard every day when you're here, you're calling people, and then tomorrow you're not going to call nobody for 2-3 days. What happened to the follow-ups? What's going on?
Yeah.
You got to be all in mentally.
Right.
And then some people say, well, I don't have the time. Well, then how many hours in a day do you have? Wow, we've identified 2 hours. You got to sleep. You got to take a bath. You got to eat. You got to spend time with mama. You got the kids. You got to work. Okay, you got these 2 hours. You got to go hard. Those 2 hours, you got to go massive hard, dude. Those are your 2 hours. That's your 24 hours right there, man.
Yeah.
And if you can't get that through your head that you got to go full blown, you just ain't gonna make it, man.
Yeah, and I think along the way that you have to build an endurance for it, right? Because some people can, let's say they knock out those 2 hours, they go hard, and tomorrow it comes again. Like, man, I got to do it again, and maybe they do it again, and then the next day comes like, man, I'm kind of tired, man.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just give it an hour today, or maybe I give it 30 minutes, or you know what, I'm gonna take a break. And then they miss the window of opportunity.
Not only that, the problem folks have is, guys, for you guys that are listening, is you have to understand that the reward, it could be like instant or it could be 6 months from now.
Yeah.
But you got to build on that. You got to build on that, man. You got to stay the course, And that's the hardest part, man, for people to learn, man. They just don't understand that if you're doing a 9 to 5 and you're used to getting paid every week or every other week, that's cool, man. If you got a great job and you're making great money, fantastic. But I always say this from stage when I would do events. To me, real estate is the great equalizer. It doesn't care what color you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't care whether you've been to prison. It doesn't care whether you're from another country.
Yeah.
It does not care, man. I've seen doctors talking to guys that look like they just robbed somebody.
Right.
All it cares about is you got a good deal.
Yeah.
And if you can figure that out, that all you got to do is figure out how to get it. You don't even need to do the whole deal yourself.
Yeah.
If you get a good deal, guys, you can call Carlos, you can call me. There's always somebody ready to help.
Right.
But nobody wants to work with somebody who's not willing to stay the course.
Yeah. And to add to that, I think that, part of having a good deal is also you have to be somebody that's trustworthy.
Yeah.
Because that's the other piece of it, right? When it comes to building relationships and, somebody that you're going to do business with, and is this person, hey, how did you get this deal?
I know you're going to relate to this, man. I know you're going to relate to this. And I'm not going to say all, because it's probably more like a 50-50 thing.
Right.
But I've met more dudes that come from the street that their integrity is solid, man. You cannot shake it, dude. But they're old thugs that crossed over, And they're like, you can't shake my integrity, man. There's nobody in this town can say I did something to anybody because I always pay my bills and I do what I say. And if I can't get it done, it's because I just couldn't get it done. But I've seen a lot of folks in this business, man. They just come in and they flame out.
Yeah.
I've seen some folks that come in with a lot of backing. People trust them. They don't know what they're doing. They go spend a bunch of money, bunch of houses, start houses getting foreclosed. People are like, what happened, man?
Yeah.
Or maybe you pop a good deal. Let's say I promise you 50% right now. Bro, I'm going to pay you 50% because that's what I said I was going to do. Now, if I promise you 50% and I'm trying to HUD a HUD like some people do.
Yeah.
And then I'm paying you 20 and you find out that you're missing 30. There goes your integrity, man.
Yeah.
And that happens so much in this business, man. I know you know that too, man.
Absolutely.
It's just a shame because you only get one shot in whatever industry you go into to really be that guy that can be trusted.
And you're also developing a reputation. along the way, right?
Yeah.
So as you work and you interact with different people, and it's easy to see someone's integrity because they're always going to do what they say they're going to do, and when they say they're going to do it, they show up. And they do it again and time over, and then there's no question.
I don't know if this is going to be watching. He's probably going to know I'm talking about him. Well, back in the day when I first started with Mike, my ex-partner, 2012, he was just learning. We were doing a deal. Long story short, we offered it to somebody. They said they were going to get back to us. They didn't get back to us for like 5 days. We already got somebody else. We were making $10,000 more. Long story short, this dude got some old man from Dallas to come down. And he was into it, like, hey, man, I need the deal. And a big argument broke up, and they were like, man, you guys told me I could have the deal. I'm like, bro, you haven't called us for 5 days. And he's like, man, my DocuSign wasn't working, my computer. Man. But the old man was here in town, dude. He was here in town. He was all his stuff. He wanted to buy that house from us. We had taken over that house. We were selling it. And, I said, bro, if I do this deal with you, I'm making 10 G's. I'm losing 10 G's. And he was really hot and bothered. I'm like, you know what, man? I just want you to remember. Remember to this day, dude, that you talked shit to us, that you messed up, and I'm losing 10 G's on this deal, dude. But yeah, okay, man, let's go. 5 years later, dude. And mind you, me and this gentleman, we didn't really get along politically, right? Online, 5 years later, this same gentleman called me. He says, hey, Charles, I don't like you. You don't like me. But I got a deal for you, man. I got a deal for you. I can't give it to no one else. But I trust you. I trust you'll pay me. Dude, that is the sweetest compliment. Dude. I think about that all the time. Like, man.
Yeah.
This is a long road, man. Whatever industry you're in, it's a long road,
100%. And I think a lot of times people miss that, is, being able to fulfill an obligation or a commitment that you made verbally, and also knowing the impact of it, in the long run. I remember a long time ago, I sat down with an investor, one of the first investors I met, and he told me, he's like, man, hey, Carlos, I don't like to do business with people that have good character, because I'm the kind of person that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to commit to it, I'm going to do it and I'm going to follow through. And it just made me reflect. And just in that moment, just to think, okay, what's my character like? And I got to make sure I do exactly what I say I'm going to do because people are watching, and that's the beginning of what could be a fruitful relationship, or it can be the beginning or the end of a relationship, depending on which way it goes, right?
And that's the problem, man. That a lot of folks, they go for that short money or that short opportunity. What they don't realize is that you don't, when I was in the ninth grade, I remember this. I'm a history buff. I was actually going to be a history teacher. Then I found out I couldn't be one because, I know a lot of history. Right. But when I was in school, I was a clown. And I remember asking this teacher, his name was Mr. Cowser. We were in the ninth grade. And I said, Mr. Cowser, why do we read history? Like, what's the big deal? It already happened. Mm-hmm. And he said, I want you to remember this the rest of your life. Because we don't know who you're going to be 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now. We don't know. And if you don't know, the errors of history will revisit us again. Mm-hmm. So I tell folks, I said, man, bro, you burn a bridge today, you burn this bridge today, or you burn this bridge with me today. Mm-hmm. You don't know 10 years later you may need me. Yeah. Or if you burn a bridge with anybody, you don't know who that person's going to become. That person may become one of the most influential people in real estate. Mm-hmm. And guess what? He's just going to remember that you're not part of that club. You're not part of that group. You're not part of that inner circle. You're not ever going to be part of anything that has to do with that sphere of influence because you burned the bridge.
Yeah.
And I try to tell that to folks all the time. I said, man, even if you don't get along with someone, be civil about it. Be willing to agree to disagree, and always follow through. Because, man, I'll tell you right now, you burn somebody, and that person becomes someone influential, and they start telling everybody what you did, and next thing you know, it gets bigger and bigger. Next thing you know, you ain't no good.
Yep. And man, I also I can relate to that because I think it comes down to knowing who you want to be known as. When you're out in the business and you're working with people. One of my main purposes when I first got into real estate was, all right, when people work with me, I'm from the streets too, right? And I like to be known as somebody that's solid. I like to be known as somebody that can be depended on, that can be relied on. And if you're gonna come to me to get a deal, you're gonna get a good deal.
Yeah.
I want to be known as somebody that's gonna give you a good deal. And because you know what, you're gonna come back to me and you're gonna want to do more business with me. And that repeat business is what really generates success, right? And a lot of times people will trailblaze and burn the bridges along the way, but eventually it hits a dead end.
Yeah.
So I think when you're out there and you're working, you got to be thinking about who you're going to be known as in the long run, right? Having that purpose for your work.
Yeah. It can be hard too, man, because sometimes that old you creeps up. I was just thinking about burning bridges, and there is one. I don't know if I regret it, but there is one person that I guess you could say I just blew up the bridge, because that motherfucker pissed me off.
Hey, it happens, right?
It got bad, dude. And I was like, let's go, man. Where the fuck are you, dude?
Yeah.
Like that type of shit. It was just something that really rubbed me the wrong way, and I'm in no. My wife always tells me, Charles, you need to calm down because you ain't in no shape. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you were in shape back then. I said, hey, you always got one. You know what I'm saying? And she's so. I was just thinking about that, and I was like, man, I guess that was a bridge that went too far. And, what I find in this business is, there is a lot of drama. You know that.
Yeah.
But I like to deal with people that are.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's always going to be learning experiences, right? We're not perfect, right? Obviously, we've made mistakes along the way.
Yeah.
We failed along the way. We've dusted ourselves back off and got back up, and we're figuring out, okay, what can I learn from this situation? How can I do it better? And how can I evolve and grow? And you mentioned this earlier, was change, right? I have to change.
Yeah.
I have to become somebody different, and in your mind, and for people that are watching, how do they realize that they're not as good as they think they are, but there's also room to be better than they think they can be?
Man, that's at least a couple of days of just talking about it. The thing is, I don't think a lot of folks, like I've had a lot of self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
I know you have too. You have to be willing to look at yourself in the mirror. I tell the people that work around me, you got this old poem, it's called Self-Portrait.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to look into the mirror and ask yourself, like, do you like yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Are you the person that can be trusted? Are you a loyal person? What do people say about you? And if you can't look yourself in the mirror, I'm gonna tell you, like a long time ago, man. I used to, growing up, would always say, man, the dude you least expect that's gonna be there when it's going down. Sometimes it's not even the person you least expect. The closest one to you may not be the one.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I saw Mike Tyson's fighting this weekend, and I love his quote. He says something like, "Not everybody you fight your enemy. Not every enemy is trying to do you wrong."
Mm-hmm.
Change is something you have to be able to embrace, man.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it means removing people out of your life. It sometimes means people removing you out of their life.
Mm-hmm.
And those things happen for different reasons. So you have to have self-portrait of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, why did that happen? Like for me, in January 2024, I was angry, I was hurt, but I realized today it was the best decision.
Mm-hmm.
And I've made amends with all my old peers, and you have to be able to leave the past behind and change forward. Always change forward,
Right.
You can't if you're not willing to change, and I say change forward.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna stay stuck in the back,
Yeah. I think a lot of times people will miss this is, change happens regardless. And I was having a conversation with a friend earlier, and we're either going to change for the better or for the worse, because old Father Time is going to catch up to us.
It's
right?
catching up to me, man.
It's catching up to us, right? And but what does change for the better look like? Because if you don't pay attention to that, and you're not self-aware of your own flaws or weaknesses, a lot of times, we might get offended by criticism, by feedback, right? Sometimes we take it negatively. One thing that I've been able to use as a strength is, man, taking that feedback, especially if I don't like it, like, where's the truth in this? It's being said for a reason, right? There's something there, whether I don't believe in everything that's being said or not. I look for the truth, and I think when you can find the truth, then that's the chink in the armor, right? And then when you can expose it yourself, now you can work on covering that up, to protect yourself, to be better, right? To start to grow. So when we're actually working on change for the better, man, you got to be open to that feedback.
I like that, man. Change for the better. For anyone listening, I can relate to that, but and I know you know this. Change for the better means work, man.
It means work.
It's not easy, man. Like
yes, sir.
You gotta be willing to get back up, man. And a lot of folks think that nothing's easy, man. Everyone always sees the end result, but they don't know what it took to get there. So I love that, man. What you're saying, change for the better.
Yeah.
I can relate to that.
And you said work, right? It means work. Like, a lot of times I hear this a lot in real estate. I wanna own X amount of rentals. I wanna own X amount of notes. I just want cash flow, so I can retire and chill on the beach and not really have to work. Is that a real thing? Is that how it goes?
We can sit here and talk about all kinds of real estate strategies.
Right.
We can do that. I think, and I'm not the type of dude. I've never been the type of dude that I don't get into my feelings. That's not me. That's not what I'm talking about. But some people say you got to get inside yourself, and some people meditate. That's all cool. That's not me. When I hear you say change for the better, and I can relate to that statement. Does it mean getting up at 5 a.m. and going and working, like physically working? I think that's part of it. What I mean by work is, bro, I mean everything about you, man. Like with me, I know I lack in something. If there's one thing that I lack in, well, man, I lack in taking care of this. You know what I'm saying? I know I am, and it's just,
hey, man, there's hope.
No. See, back in the day when I was young, I was in great shape, and I know what it took to get there. And I think, because I'm always either all in or I'm all out. Like that's just me. And I haven't, and I've been putting it off, and it's just that the way I think. I know if I go all in, like right now I'm still building, and I built it and fell. I built it and fell. And so that's what I mean by work. Like, you got to be willing to just you got to be willing to go all in what you're doing. And that's the hard part, man. That's the work. What does that look like? It might look like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm still up researching some properties. It might look like, hey, I'm here doing a podcast with you. And as soon as I leave, I got to go back upstairs and do something else,
Yeah.
It might mean reading a book. It means everything that it takes to get you forward every single day.
100%. I love that you said that because, it separates, that leisure mentality, And I know it's easy to want to chase leisure and comfort because it's nice, right? Who doesn't want to just chill all day, right? And relax and have a drink and indulge, right? Like, yeah, it's good, but you can't do that forever because it destroys you, right? It destroys you. The moment you don't have work to do, you start to die, and that's we have to keep pushing through. This thing is short already as it is, right?
This past week, we're 14 days into November. I never talk about I'm not the type of dude that goes online and talks about how much money I make, but last week I did really well, and then Monday again. And then Tuesday I hit. And then Wednesday I hit big. Yesterday I hit really big, And it's like, I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about the company. I'm me personally.
Right, right.
I'm hitting too, right? And I'm like, man, I don't have to really. I mean, I didn't have to work right now, but I want to. But
Right.
if I didn't have money, like I don't really have to work for a few months,
Right.
And I got a lot of bills. And some folks will ask me, man, how can you make? Let me tell you the difference. The difference is that I was up last night to 4 in the morning working on this big contract that I'm working on, and then I was here at 6:30, and I'm grinding, man, and it's 5:30 and you're leaving, but I'll be here until the work is done. That's the difference. How do I learn? You got to be totally committed. It's hard to teach that, dude. Some people have it, some people don't. I'm not saying other people can't get it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's hard to teach that. Like I know you've mentored a lot of people. You've managed a lot of people, and I think I don't know. Maybe I'd be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about what I'm going to say, but I think that I know we get surprised every once in a while because I know, but I think that when somebody's gonna make it and somebody's not.
Oh yeah.
I think you do.
Yeah, and you see that in just the actions that they take, the commitments that they make. It reminds me of a couple of guys that I had on my team, and man, these boys love the phone, man. They'd get together, man. Let's bang out some calls, boys. We're gonna stay here at 8, 9 o'clock, and they're just on the phone, just pounding it. And they wouldn't leave until they hit their numbers and they hit their mark, and they're like, all right, we'll come back and we'll do it again. And they were my top sales guys, and these guys were selling over 100 houses in a year. Just a duo, just knocking it out and just constantly grinding. And it's like it's that work ethic, man, that level of work ethic. But more importantly, it's drive. I didn't have to motivate them. I didn't have to give them a speech. Like they were just driven, and they just wanted to be around winners.
I'm glad you said that word, speech. I've been in this business a long time. I've taught a lot of people, man. And I see a lot of people that teach. They do a lot of motivational, stuff. I get that, all that stuff. I understand. Yeah. I understand, man. I've been in the Army. I was, where I was at. I understand all that stuff, man. I understand, people's manipulation, mindset. Like, I understand that.
Right.
The one thing I tell folks, if I have to motivate you, man, bro, if I have to get you wired up, man, you need to understand that when I'm doing that, I'm looking at you and I'm thinking 50-50. 50-50.
Right.
Because the person that I don't have to do that for, he don't need to be in that meeting. He's already on that course. He's already telling me, hey, bro, I'm done. What's next? So I get it. A lot of folks like, man, I want to be here, man. I'm getting motivated. I get it, man. I love you, man. I will help you. I will help you. As long as you show up, I will help. Because when we ran HPHS with a lot of people, there's some folks sometimes we should have fired. But it didn't cost us nothing to have them there. If you're showing up, bro, how am I going to fire you? Because I've had some dudes that took them 8 months, 6 months, and now they're shining. They're stars.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it takes people a little bit more time. Some people don't got typing skills. Some people have, a complex of how they speak. Maybe they have an accent. There's a lot of reasons why sometimes people don't shoot to the moon. So you don't know who's really going to hit. But there's a certain few that you're like, you ain't going to make it. And my thing is, if I have to motivate you, if you're the guy that I have to motivate you to get you there, man, you gotta look in the mirror, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably bring you a mirror. I'm gonna take you to a mirror. I'm gonna be like, hey, I need you to stand here for a little while.
You need to have a conversation.
And this is what you need to do. You talk to him. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody wants to make it, man. And look, man, I'm not saying, I ain't no major developer. I ain't, Grant Cardone or Patrick Big David. I mean, those guys made it. Hopefully one day I do something and I get to maybe that level. Maybe I'll never get there. But I know one thing, that that I'm successful with what I do,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna keep pushing because I'm not satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you can't even get there, then you have to have self reflection of yourself. You know,
Yeah.
and it's good. It's not bad. Nobody's saying it's bad. You could be. You can have no education. You could be the dude that just likes to eat, sit on the couch and watch Netflix. You can be all that, and from one day to the next, you know what? Boom, I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. I think it's the people that have that fighter's heart, you know? Those are the
man.
people that like, they've been through some stuff.
Yeah.
They've been through some stuff and they're like, you know what? Life's kicked me, knocked me down. I'm gonna get back up and I'm gonna keep coming, It reminds me of there's a movie with Joe Pesci, Casino, and he's like, and that guy wasn't the biggest guy, but he's gonna keep coming back at you.
Keep coming,
He's gonna keep coming back at you like this guy doesn't
man.
stop. That kind of mentality is what creates winners.
Growing up in the hood, I grew up in neighborhoods where it's either all Latino or all black, primarily. So you know what's up, man. And then in the Army, and then of course where I was at, I've seen little dudes have the strongest mind, the strongest heart. Dude.
Yeah.
And I've seen what I perceived to be like, wow, had the weakest mind and the weakest heart. It's not for anybody listening tonight. It's not any one person. We don't know who's going to put it in. I've seen old ladies do this business well. I mean, I got this old lady, she's 88 years old. And she's clocking out deals. I got this other lady that works for me. She's from Mexico. She don't really speak. She speaks English now, but not, you could touch she has an accent. She's about 4 foot nothing, and she started real estate about 5 years ago. Man, she's building 2 houses right now. She owns about 7 or 8 houses. She's always top producer for real estate. How? How does that happen? I'm gonna tell you something about her. I love her to death, man. She's awesome, man. And when she first started, she started with a partner. They were doing a Spanish show, and the partner took her clients. And I told her don't quit. She started another show, and there were some times I would log in to her show online. There was nobody watching. There was a few events that she did. Nobody showed up. Only us. We support her. She works for us. Bro, one time I went to one of her little events. There was one person there. But she never, I don't know how she did it, man. She never let it faze her, man. She still went up there, did the presentation. That little lady right there, I won't say her name, but she man, bro, she does a lot of deals, man. She's doing serious deals. She's building 2 houses right now in Stone Oak. She always got deals closing. She's shaking and baking. And some people ask me, how do I do it? I'm like, well, you know how you do it? I got another dude out of El Salvador. I met him about 5 years ago. And I met him at a house. He was trying to sell a house. And I'm always interested in people. So I'm talking to him. I said, how'd you buy this house? I could tell he's not from here. So this dude speaks only Spanish. He has a 2nd grade education from El Salvador. At the time, he owns 7 houses. He owns a nice house here. At the time, it was like $500,000 house here of De Zavala and Vance Jackson, the area.
Yeah.
Beautiful house. And he had been here for a few years, and he was being a dishwasher for three different restaurants, and just work. Then he got a roofing job. Then he got a truck. Then he got a job, and now he has 3 roofing jobs, and he's making money as a subcontractor. He's buying houses, and everybody tells me, well, Charles, how? I need to know everything. I need to know where to get the list. I need to know this. I need to know that, bro. You know what you need to do? Let me tell you this dude right here, 2nd grade education. You know what he says? What's it worth? What's it going to cost me to fix it? How much can I sell it for? And how much am I going to make? 4 things. I'll take care of the rest. It's that simple. It's that simple. If a dude from El Salvador can be a millionaire here in the U.S., only speaks Spanish. If a lady that comes from Mexico learns how to speak English, little 4-foot lady, building houses, then you got to do a self-portrait. You got to look at yourself.
And one thing that I'm hearing is, man, it takes a certain willpower, but it also takes faith in in the unknown. No, there's no guarantee, right? And the work behind it, right? Like, hey, there's no promise that this is gonna work, but they show up, man. They show up. They put in the work, and they don't know what the result's gonna be, but they have that faith that it's gonna work out for them, you know, and they're gonna push through. And however it looks at the end, they'll take it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
And they'll go and do it again, and they'll do it better.
They'll do it better.
They'll do it better. And that's where people start to learn from adversity and defeat. And this is what really causes people to rise. But you know what a lot of people are afraid to feel is that humility of failure. You know,
Afraid to fail, man.
They're afraid to fail.
Yeah.
And I think once you understand that failure is just part of the journey, and it's not really failure unless you quit, right? If you get back up, you're not a failure. You're a learner,
Yeah.
you know. And now you can actually go and do something with it and do it better and take it even farther and climb even higher. You know.
I love that, man. I love that, and and I think that's with any industry or any business. You know, a lot of folks, well, I don't want to lose. I get it.
I get it.
There's a chance you're gonna lose,
Right on.
but man. There's also a chance you're going to win.
Yeah.
So if you never take the chance, you're never going to know.
Man.
During COVID, I had gotten sick, and I was in the hospital for about a little over 2 months. And I had the next thing next to when they intubate you, right? They kept telling me they want to intubate me. I was sick, man. I was dying. And the first 4 days I was sitting there, I was laying there. I didn't move. I didn't know 4 days had passed. I didn't move. I didn't eat. And it was really bad. It was a bad time. The nurses, I bless their hearts. They were just helping people that wanted to survive. And I was telling myself, like, I'm good, man. I've done enough, I've helped out a lot of people. That's my goal today. I want to help people, And I was okay with it. And long story short, I'm not going to go into what snapped me out of it, but it was a beautiful thing that happened, a beautiful little story that happened, what snapped me. But I went through those 2.5 months, man. I'm going to tell you, I went from not being able to walk, breathe, like that. I couldn't brush it was bad, dude. But I said, no, I'll wipe my own ass. Okay. I'll eat my own food. And eventually, I would bathe myself. It took me a long time. They would bring me a bucket, and I would bathe myself. I just refused to quit, man. And I know a lot of folks that went in there, they quit.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm anything special, because I know I'm not. And I'm not saying nobody can't have that mentality. But, man, if you don't have it, find it, man. Find it. Find a passion and go after it,
100%. I love that. That's awesome. I know we're wrapping up towards the end, so I wanna end it with this, and I wanna get your best advice. Your best tip. Let's say you're looking in the mirror, young Charles. What's the best advice that you're gonna give yourself, on this journey?
My best advice is this, and I told my son this. This is coming to anybody, but look, I'm not playing favorites here. I'm going to talk to all you minorities, primarily Latinos and African Americans, or anybody for that matter that grows up hard. If someone that you needed is not there, for whatever reason, okay, and I told this to my son. I love my son. I said, if you're 16 years old, and if put me in a guilt trip because I wasn't there. And if you're going to let that chart the course of your life, in 10, 15 years, you're going to be looking at someone who's counting on you. And you're going to have to ask yourself, did I do my best? Right, what happened, man. Well, your circumstances are your circumstances. You can make it. You can decide to change it. It's not going to be easy. Look, I got educated, in a place of savages, But I had to be a savage, and I had to get educated. You can decide. I'm going to take the hard way, man. The easy way is you go hook up, you fall in love, you get somebody pregnant, you get a little job at some, Starbucks or or might want to cut that. You get a little job at a little restaurant or something, or you start slinging, dope or something. That's the easy way, man. That's the fast way. But life is long. Mm-hmm. If you get to the point where we don't know when our ticket's up, man. Mm-hmm. You may just be like, hey, God's gonna say, you are gonna live 80 years. You don't know. And if you look at it that way, it's a long life, man. And you got to chart that course. And if you chart that course wrong because you want the easy stuff, you see what everybody has. Somebody's wearing, some certain type of sneakers. Somebody's wearing certain type of clothes. And you're like, man, I want to do that too. Mm-hmm. But they may not be on the right path. Chart the course, man. That's the first thing. The most important thing for me is, man, if you don't want to go to school, that's fine. But there's a lot of ways to get educated today. There's so much information. There's no excuse for anybody not to enlighten their mind today. There's no excuse today. Education for me, man, and I know for you, it just opened my mind because I was ignorant. Mm-hmm. I thought I knew it all. I was ignorant, and when I finally started to understand, I was like, damn, I was ignorant. I went back and read some of the letters that I wrote, and I was, wow, I was ignorant. I say to anybody, man, don't take the easy road out, man. Trust me, man. Trust me. It's hard. I know you want to go have some drinks. You want to go smoke the weed. You want to go have some fun. You want to get the nice shoes. You want to get the hot girlfriend. You get somebody pregnant. I get that shit. Man, take the hard way out, man. Yeah. Somebody's counting on you. I told my son, I said, son, if you do it the right way, one day as you elevate, every time you elevate, at some point you're going to meet someone on your level with your mentality. Today, he works at USAA as an accountant on the top, with the top team of USAA. He has a wife who's an attorney. Mm-hmm. My beautiful granddaughter. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying his life or anybody's life is perfect. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is give yourself a chance, man. We only get one shot. And if you fuck up, it's okay. Reinvent yourself. Yeah. That's my thought process, man.
Man, I love that. That's sound advice right there. Because most people are looking for the shortcuts, man. And I appreciate that. It definitely relates. And I hope it relates with everybody watching. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Uncle Charles, man, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, everybody, for joining.